Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the Purely Positive Show. Today's guest is someone that I recently met, but she is an author, an entrepreneur, a mentor, and a philanthropist. So we're going to talk about all that stuff, okay? Her name is, I'm just going to say Shelly Williams. So thank you so much for joining us, Shelly. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone.
You are so welcome. Let's start with author.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me about your book.
So I have a children's book.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it's called Christine Makes Good Choices. So I always told my kids in the morning we'll say a prayer, and then I always tell them, be good, make good choices, don't make me come to the school for bad reasons. So I always tell them, make good choices, make good choices, make good choices. So my birth daughter's name is Christine. Her middle name is Christine. Okay. So I used her characterage and a number of my children in the book.
Okay.
So, and it's like replicas of them when they were younger.
Oh, nice. Where is it? Available.
It's available on Amazon.
Okay.
We currently are going to do a re-release. Okay. But it's available right now on Amazon, and it's called Christine Makes Good Choices. And she even has two little puff balls like she used to wear when she was little.
Oh, that's too cute. That is too cute. Now you just said something that I know this, but the audience doesn't. You said your birth daughter. Tell me why you said that.
So I have a lot of babies. When people ask me sometimes how many kids you have, I be like, wait, let me see how many at the house. Because, I have 3 kids that I birthed.
Okay.
I have 4 kids that I adopted.
Okay.
And I have lots of babies. I have lots of bonus babies.
Bonus babies?
Yeah, I have lots of bonus babies. That's where the mental part come in at. So I have kids from all over Florence.
Okay.
All over Florence and like a few in the neighboring areas. Okay. But kids from all over, and one of their grandmoms started calling me the neighborhood mom. I think I was picking them up one day and somebody was like, who is that? And she was like, there ain't nobody but the neighborhood mom. You know, like.
Oh my goodness. So I know you mentor. Do you have a specific name for your program?
Yes, it's called Positive Inspirations.
I like that.
Thank you. And I call it that because I always want it to be a positive inspiration in their lives, and then in return show them how they can be positive inspirations to the community and other people's lives.
Ah, so they get to pay it forward. That's a good thing.
Yes, I always believe that no matter sometimes how tough it is, because the things get tough.
Yes, they do.
But I always find it helpful and therapeutic for me that if I'm doing something for somebody else, service, I tell them this verbatim. Look, what you doing is more for you than it is the other person.
Right, because it helps you.
It helps you.
Like Jesus said, more giving and receiving. Okay. I like that. I really like that.
Thank you.
Purely Positive Show, you know.
So look, that's why we clicked.
That's exactly why. I just so people understand, how many children will you say that you've mentored?
It's been about 150.
Did you all hear that? She said about 150. Mind you, I'm telling y'all this. She has only been in Florence about 12 years. Mm-hmm. But she's mentored 150 kids. Think about the fact that she has an impact on all of these lives and how important that is to these children. Now, I'm going to let her tell you this next part. So, out of those kids that you've mentored, how many still bug you? In a good way. How many still around?
A lot. Look, we need to do the tally on that. Because it's some days, like, that's why I've never changed my phone number. Mm-hmm. I'm originally from Baltimore.
Right.
I still have my same Baltimore number because it's kids that call me and be like, "Mom, I got a flat tire. Auntie, Miss Shelly, can you please come help me how to do this?" So it's like we're teaching life lessons, but a big part of what we do is especially huge before COVID. We used to go to nursing homes, and I love to play. One of our favorite things to do was to play bingo. My grandmother was a nurse for 40 years.
Okay.
So it's like, I'm not gonna say I grew up in a nursing home, but I visited nursing homes a lot when I was a kid. So I've always clicked around what we call mature people. I don't say old, because old is a pair of shoes, and your jacket, or old is a material. A person is not old; they're mature.
Right.
So I tell my kids, y'all might be getting older if you say, but mommy's mature. Mommy's getting more mature.
I tell my kids, I'm getting wiser and better, like fine wine.
Yep. So we used to help them. We made little bags. We still make little bags with like personables, toiletries, and stuff that we give. We have a couple of regulars, homeless people that we feed a lot. And you just connect to them. Yeah. Sometimes just somebody that can come check on you, and we tell them that they matter, and that they have their personables. You take for granted. I think we're programmed to naturally take for granted the little things. So sometimes looking at somebody else who don't have those things reminds you of just how blessed you are through the storms. Right. So that's what I teach them. And sometimes afterwards, especially in the beginning, like if it's a newer kid, first couple times they do something, I'll ask them. I say, when we're done, I say, now how did you feel? And then they'll be like, I feel good. And I go, you know why? Because that was more for you, baby, than it was for them. You helped them, but this was really for you. I was like, you weren't thinking about what you had going on. You didn't think about that test you got. You weren't thinking about, you got into it with somebody. You weren't thinking about none of that because you was caught up in the moment. And that's what, I try to teach them, that service is huge. And just paying it forward. I just always tell them, put good into the world. Just put good into the world.
You'll get good back too.
Absolutely.
You get good back. I really admire the fact that you are paying it forward by helping children. Here you are. You have 3 biological kids, but then you turn around and adopt 4 more. But then you still work with over 150 kids in the last 12 years, but you do all of that in spite of some health issues.
Yes, I do have health issues. And you know what? I've actually taken in 12 kids.
What?
So I've taken in 12, but adopted 4.
Wow.
But out of the 150, 12 had to come live with us for a little bit. Whether that be, 3 weeks to some years. Okay. But so it's like whatever the need is. I always say I do what God tell me to do. I don't go out looking and searching or anything for it. I just do what God tells me to do, and I think that's what helped me get through those health issues. I'm a brain surgery survivor, 2-time brain surgery survivor.
Yay!
And I have 2 rare illnesses. One, pseudotumor cerebri, and also empty seller syndrome, which is just a tricky name. It means the total opposite, but it's a tricky name. And some other things, and it just goes, it keeps me going. I know that people need me. I know that I have a purpose. That's another thing I teach them. I say, look, everybody have challenges.
Yes.
But everybody also has a purpose.
Yes.
And you have to find your purpose.
Help you deal with your challenges.
Deal with them challenges. You're going to overcome those challenges, and sometimes some are harder than others.
This is so true.
But once you find your purpose, it's easier to do because that's what's going to be your go. That's going to be
Exactly.
your why.
Exactly.
Your go to. So I know I can't give up because there's too many people that need me.
Exactly.
I always tell people, I think one thing I used to say since I was a kid, I was like, I got stuff to do.
That's what I say all the time.
My friends will tell you, they be like, you know what? She been little. What you got to do when you little? But I've always had stuff to do. I've always had stuff to do. I still say that. I'm like, I ain't got time for this. I tell my body that sometimes. You know what, body? Got time for this today. I got stuff to do.
Right. I say the same thing. So is that why you get the name the Bounce Back Queen?
That is exactly why I got the Bounce Back Queen. And see, by me living down here in South Carolina, you know, through the surgeries and, you know, we've had storms and different things, and family back home, you know, a call or text and be like, are you okay? Are y'all okay? And I always be like, you know what? Y'all know I'm good. Y'all know I'm the Bounce Back Queen. I got this.
Right.
And then I think when COVID came, it dawned on me, and I was like, you know what? I am the Bounce Back Queen. Oh my God, I'm the Bounce Back Queen.
You're the Bounce Back Queen.
and I just been running, you know, like, you know what? I'm going to take my name. Look, I work too hard for my name. Look, like Tina say, I work too hard for my name.
That's right. Own it.
And I've been running with my name ever since. And it is just stuck because, you know, started out with me just, you know, trying to calm them down. Like, y'all, I'm good. Even if, you know, I might not have felt so good.
Right.
I'm like, oh, y'all, I'm fine. You don't have to keep calling, you know, like, because my grandmother, she knows something going on. She will call me every day, sometimes twice a day. Like, Mommy, I'm good. You know, I'm the Bounce Back Queen. Like, you told me to be strong. And then I thought about it, like, yeah, I actually am.
That's a good thing. I absolutely love that name.
Thank
I think
you.
Sometimes we give ourselves a name, and sometimes other people give us a name. But when when it fits, it sticks. You know, and everybody calls you that. Isn't that your name on TikTok? So, you know, the fact that you are doing all of this service related stuff, because your children's book is service related too, whether you know it or not. All of this service related stuff, and we haven't even gotten to your job yet because she's an entrepreneur. We're gonna get to that. So it's interesting to me how you can do so much. So much happens in our daily lives that some people just don't pay attention to, and you never know what it is that you have done or that you have said that helps somebody else. And I feel like you're that type of person. You do things and you say things, you help people, and you don't realize it, but that person who received it does.
That's kind of the truth because, you know, people sometimes will come to me and tell me different things, and I'd be like, really? Like, you know,
right.
I was just, you know, doing what I normally be like, oh, I was just doing what God tells me to do. That's normally what I says, because that's what I feel. You know, that's literally what I'm doing. Like, I get some people that say, you know, well, you better than me because I couldn't take in all them kids. And I say,
It wasn't.
I could not take them, you know, because when it was in my face, you know, once you know, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
Once you know, you know.
You can't unknow. It's not how that works. Not in my brain. It's not how my brain works. So, you know, once I knew there's certain issues or parents present, you know, and say, hey, you know, is it okay for whatever reason, you know, such, and I say, sure, absolutely. It's fine. And it works out. We say a prayer. When people say, how do you do that? I say, you know what? I say a prayer and it works out. It always does. I think the faith. You got it.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. And though we try to stay, you know, religiously neutral, that's how I live my life. I have health issues as well. And I think everybody knows that. But I only have 35%. If he didn't do the other 65%, I would never get to 100.
Wow.
I would never get to 100. That's because Everything is done through him. I can't do it by myself.
You can't.
I'm not talking about just this show. I'm talking about everything that I do across the board. From the time I wake up in the morning until the time I finally close my eyes at night.
Absolutely.
And go to sleep. And I'm happy when I get to meet people like you because it's all worth it. It's all worth it,
Look, and I feel the same because, look, I tell people it is lots of people out here like us. It's just that sometimes, the other things get, is louder.
Right.
But when you look hard enough, then you be like, oh, yeah, So it's lots of us out here.
Yeah. There are some people that I certainly want you to meet. Some of these nonprofits that I'm involved with. My husband calls them my crew.
That's your squad.
So I definitely want you to connect with them because the work that you're doing with mentoring these kids is something that specifically the Florence area really needs. How can I say this? Children in Florence they don't feel like they're being heard.
Absolutely.
Let me say it that way.
That's very true.
They don't feel like they're being heard. And though the mayor of Florence is trying to do everything that she can to correct that, and I say that because in case you guys don't know, I am a partner with the city of Florence through the mayor's youth initiative. But I'll tell you guys more about that stuff later. Anyway, she is doing everything she can to try to correct that. But people can receive help, but they don't always recognize that they're receiving help. They're looking for one way, and it may come a totally different way. So we're doing all that we can to get the word out, and you are going to be a big part of that.
I'm happy to be a part of it.
You're going to be a huge part of that because you have worked with so many kids and because we need those voices. We need for kids to be able to say, hey, here are the things that we're having problems with. Here are the things that we would like to see. Here is how you can help us because we don't know if they don't give us the feedback.
Absolutely. And a big thing that I do is I always try to be who I wish I had growing up, especially in my time of need. I had a little difficult childhood. So I always try to be to them who I wish, like a balance. It's like I love on them, but when they need me,
I'm firm.
When they need me to get on them, they already know they going to hit. Because, you're supposed to guide them.
Right.
They don't know. You're supposed to guide them. A lot of stuff they don't know, you got to teach them. But you got to listen to them, too.
That's right.
So, I try to find a balance.
Sometimes it's hard.
Oh.
Sometimes.
And look, and everybody's different. Got a different personality. Got a different need.
And the way they receive it. And
Yeah, so it gets tough sometimes. But I think once you break down that wall and they understand that you care and that it's safe. And that they can be themselves, whoever they are, and that you are listening to them, it just goes smoother.
I cannot wait.
We really got some good, oh my gosh, we got some wonderful babies in Florence. I call all them babies. I know. Look, 3 of mine just graduated. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And when we was at that senior walk, a lot of the kids, because I've always been a very hands-on mommy. So at that senior walk, some of them, I was like, wait, y'all still going to be my babies now that you're gone? And they was like, yeah, we'll always be your babies. I said, wait, now I might need that in writing. But
always. I know how that is because there are kids that grew up with my kids that are now in their 30s and married and have kids of their own.
Oh, my gosh.
And call me Ma. So I understand. That's how it's going to be for you. You're going to have all these grandkids. I'm telling you. It's a beautiful thing.
She's not telling you. She's got one that's actually older than her that calls her Ma too.
I do.
Oh my gosh.
I do.
Oh my gosh.
He is actually the CEO of a very prominent record label.
Wow.
Yes.
That calls her Ma.
He
Wow.
does. He does.
That's special. That's special. Being a mom is one of the most fulfilling but hardest jobs.
Yes, it is.
It's fulfilling, but woo, is it a task?
It is a task, and it's a full-time job. From the time you conceive until the time you close your eyes.
25/8.
All the time. But it's so worth it.
Absolutely.
It is so worth it.
Absolutely.
So now that brings me to your entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So I know what you do, but our viewers don't. So can you tell our viewers what you do?
Yes. So look, I'm a hustler. I've been working since I was 12 years old, and I have my hands in a few fires. But my main bread and butter is life and health insurance. Is so important to me, especially the life side. That is huge. Oftentimes people think of final expense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like to say, I'm a final expense specialist.
Okay.
But oftentimes you think of that and you think of mature people, elderly people, and I'm like, no.
Everybody needs that.
And it's things that I could do that really on the set the younger ones up, that when you're younger than me, you be done.
Right.
Done.
Right.
And you can have something to borrow from. That's where that's the other thing I try to teach them about credit, financial literacy, having your own. You don't have to go to the bank and borrow. This yours. You borrow from your own money. So it's different things that I teach my babies because I want them to be so much better than me.
Uh-huh.
That's so important. I'm like, I always joke and be like, look, one day I'm going to be able to put my feet up.
Right.
Because I got so many kids. I'll be somewhere. It's going to be, I'll be able to sit and put my feet up soon because, they're getting older and it's going to be your turn to take care of me.
No, they're going to be bringing the grands by.
Oh, gosh.
That's what happens. That's what happens. They bring the grands by. I know from experience. I'm getting one Saturday.
I hear they are very special. I hear that's a different door to open. I lock a different door.
Let me tell you something. People said to me, you're going to love those grandkids so much differently than you loved your kids. I was like, no, nobody will ever take the place of my kids. Oh, I was so wrong. I was so wrong. I love my kids. I will go to the moon and back across this universe for my kids, but I will walk on the sun for my grandkids.
Wow.
I will burn up for those kids.
Oh,
and
my
it's
gosh.
not that I love my kids and it's not that. It's just the fact that my child had a little person and that little person acts like them. And so the things that I didn't get to do with my child, I can do with that little person and send that little person right on back home. It's golden. It is absolutely golden.
Oh my gosh. It sounds exciting and scary all at the same time.
It is. It's scary because you never realize that you can love somebody that much. I thought my heart was going to burst with my kids. With those grands, it's even worse.
Wow.
It's even worse. And, I mean, our kids live out of state. Mm-hmm. They live 4 hours away. You let my daughter, I got 2 girls, you let them call me and say something happened to them, one of those kids at school.
First thing smoking.
I'm not getting on the first thing smoking. I'm driving. Let's go. I'm driving. I can do it in 3 hours and 15 minutes, and it's a 5-hour drive.
Wow.
I know that for a fact.
Wow.
Don't y'all tell nobody. Don't look at them wrong. Don't say anything to them that you got no business saying. You better not touch them. And if you got a problem, please call me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll be there lickety split.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter called me up and she said, Mommy, I'm putting your name on the list so that you can so you can volunteer at school. And I said, okay, thank you. Then she said, now, Mommy, this is just so you can volunteer. Now, remember, times have changed. And then she said, Mommy, remember, 'cause I said, okay, Mommy, remember, times have changed. And then she said, Mommy, remember, times have changed. And then she said, Mommy, remember, times have changed. And then she said, Mommy, remember, times have changed. And then she said, Mommy, remember, times have changed. And then she said, Mommy, remember, This is a reflection on us.
She gave you a pep talk.
She gave me a warning, is what she did, because she knows that I'm what they call old school. I'm going to discipline your child just like I discipline my children. I'm not going to do capital punishment, but if I see you doing something that you got no business doing, I'm going to check you. I'm going to say something about it. I'm going to be nice for the most part. I'm not going to rant and rave and cuss and fuss, but I'm going to say, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that, blah, 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 blah. But nowadays, there are so many, oh, well, you can't do that. You know, you can't talk to the kids like that. Excuse me, that's the problem.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. Nobody disciplines kids.
It is
that's the
definitely
problem.
it is definitely the problem. And you know what? That's one thing that when kids come around, I always say, if you have a problem
Discipline.
with me being able to let you know when you making a bad choice, this is not the squad for you to be a part of. If your mama have an issue with that,
Don't come over here.
this is not the place for you, because I love on all of them. I treat all of them like I birthed them.
Right.
So the way I love on you, you know, I don't do something different for any of them. But sometimes I get parents that'll call me and be like, "Then that's why I'm gonna tell Miss Shelly on you," because they know. I'll be like, "Come in. Now, was that a good choice or a bad choice?" That's the first thing I'm gonna ask you.
Right.
Because I teach life is about choices.
It is, and you got to suffer the consequences for your choices.
It's definitely about choices. Now, what was you? You know,
were you
walk me
thinking?
through this.
Help me understand this process.
And I love when they tell me, I don't know. I said, well, you shouldn't do things that you don't know why you did it.
Right.
Think about it before you do stuff.
How is that going to be a help for
if you don't know, don't do it. Let this be a life lesson.
Right. Handing out life lessons. There you go.
Look, it is. I'm a one-man village.
Hey, sometimes that's what it takes. I will never forget. I was taking my kids home from school one day, and there were some friends who didn't have a ride home. It was about to rain, and so they asked if I would take them. Sure. They jumped in the car, and I'm talking to the kids, making small talk. And this one girl, she says, well, I didn't get my homework done. And I said, well, what are your grades like? And she told me she is a junior in school with a 2-point-something GPA. First of all, you are a junior and you have a 2-point-something, not almost a 3, closer to a 1 GPA. That says to me you don't take education seriously, which says to me, why you with my child? Because at my house, education is one of those things. It's not up for debate. You're going to get your work done. I know you can do it. If you needed some help, okay, fine, I will provide that. But you're going to do your work regardless. You're going to get your education. So the little girl started mouthing off, and my daughter said, I'm going to tell you, my mama just as sweet as she can be, but my mama crazy. And she said it real cold, just like that. It was so funny. And so she said something real smart, and I said, okay. I was listening to her, and she basically said, well, I don't care anything about school, and I'm not doing this work, and the teacher can't make me do any work. And I stopped. I pulled off to the side, put my flashers on, got out, opened the passenger side door where she was sitting, and politely asked her out of my car. She was like, you can't put me in. I said, now how do you feel that? She said, well, I'm a minor. You can't put me out. I said, baby, let me explain something to you. First of all, this is my car. And I was probably wrong on this. But I said, first of all, this is my car. You didn't put any gas in this car for me to take you home. And you didn't pay me any money. It was out of the goodness of my heart that I was taking you home. Get out. My daughter said, I told you she was crazy. It was all I could do not to bust out laughing. and the poor little girl, she was like, I can't believe you're going to put me on your car over some grades. It's important. I want you to understand the importance of doing your very best so that you can have decent grades. Because if while you playing around with school, somebody else is taking it seriously, they're going to have a decent job and you're going to be working at a place with a low job because you didn't take your grades seriously. Girl, I'll be here talking to you.
Now, you know what? Now, with what I done with some. I'm not opposed to bribing kids. And I had to bribe some, and I tell you, when I remember them being in elementary and middle school, report card day, some of them be flying down the street. I had mothers come say, "You seen the report card for I did."
Oh my goodness!
Because we had to make negotiations. I'd be like, "Now, come here, we gotta talk about this. You see these? These need to come up."
Right. These need to come up.
Now, I can get you 2 things from the store.
2. But these got to come up.
They got to come up, though. They got to come up. And they be flying down the street to come show me that. And be like, Miss Shelly, I got, look. And I had to be like, I'm a woman of my word. So you did your nice doing business with you. See that? This is negotiations. Nice doing business with you. Because you gotta
did your part. I'm gonna do mine.
Yep, you did your part. So sometimes now, if they, resistant to that, then that's something different. But I try to bribe them sometimes.
I'm gonna take that. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Try to bribe them.
Yeah,
and that normally get them straight. Yeah. And you know what I noticed though, with me having so many kids, I learned a few of them had like learning disabilities.
Right. Sometimes.
And then we have to go, let me talk to your mom and let me, like, I'm trying, but, and that's why, talking to them, like how she told you, she just don't care. Right. That's something different. Right. But I've had, if you be like, I just don't get it. I don't, and I had to talk to the mom and say, hey, how about, let's try something that, was you aware? Right. I'm sure you're aware, without trying to offend the parent. I'm sure you're aware of this, but hey, she expressed to me this, how about we, talk to the teacher and see this and then go from there. And then that works, but that typically works. But I used the bribe, and I bribed them in a minute.
It's so funny. How can people get in touch with you?
So I have a Gmail. It is thebouncebackqueen@gmail.com. That's my email. I am on Twitter at Lanika Nichelle. I'm on TikTok. Can't believe I got a TikTok. I'm on TikTok as the Bounce Back Queen. I am on Instagram as the Real Bounce Back Queen, and on Facebook at Lanika Shelly Williams.
Okay. That's everything, people. That's everything. So I know you're going to be doing something else because you talked about re-releasing your book. We'll talk about that in a little bit because I got another show. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come and visit with us.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. Hi to all my babies.
And I want you all to remember that being positive is a choice. Make it the very best choice that you can. Have a great day, and I'll be talking with you soon. Bye.